the greatest sports debate show on the
For the first time since 2016, we have got a Game 7 in the NBA Finals.
championship rings, starring
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. They won the championship ring.
I am loving this feud. Don't you dare shit on this. Don't you dare.
I'm gonna shit on the stipulation of it.
Oh my God, the stipulation is fantastic.
Week 3 in the NFL was the week of comebacks. We have a big weekend in college football, a big week in Major League Baseball, and a big weekend in professional wrestling went down. This is Championship Rings. I am the host of Brandon's World, Brandon Lewis. To my right on my computer screen is always my debate partner, Ungar to the Max, the host of the Sports Room Talk Show, Josh Ungar. Josh, is that good enough intro for you?
Yeah, I'll take it. You know, I'm coming off of doing a live stream with Tom Grassi and checked a couple items off my bucket list thanks to the Packers. So, yeah. But here's the thing. I predicted the Packers to face the Ravens in the Super Bowl. And then Jalen Hurts came out and said, hold my beer.
Well, I got to be honest with you. At the end of the first half, when it was 19-7 Rams, I thought, oh my goodness, we're in trouble. We're going to not only lose this game, we might lose this game 40-7 because my offense looked inept. My defense could not stop anybody. And Lane Johnson went out on the first drive of the game and was out the remainder of the game. And Matt Pryor, who filled in for him at right tackle in the first half, was a human turnstile, and the Eagles' offensive line could not protect Jalen Hurts. Second half, my team comes out, we get the ball. The first play of the second half, Jalen Hurts gets sacked by Jared Verse. It is a fumble. It is picked up by the Rams. The Rams, the very next play, run a play-action pass. Matthew Stafford to Kyron Williams for the touchdown. It is 26-7 Rams. And I am about ready to give this one up and get ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game this coming weekend. And then that guy that a lot of people in the media says can't throw. He's not a top 5 quarterback. He's a running back. Gee, I don't know what he did. He only led the Eagles on 3 straight scoring drives, complemented by 2 Jordan Davis blocked field goal attempts. Give the Eagles not only the comeback, but most importantly to those betting out there, the cover as they screw every Rams fan in America that took the Rams plus 3.5.
So here's my take on this. Is Saquon Barkley, yes, the Rams kept him bottled up. I get it. But if you did not have Saquon Barkley on the field, I don't think you make this comeback. And here's why. Everybody was criticizing the Eagles like, where's the passing game? Why isn't A.J. Brown involved? Where's Devontae Smith? All this and that. Well, for me, from when I watch the Eagles, you guys are a run-first team and you use the run to set up the passing game. That's not trying to discredit Jalen Hurts in any way, but the more you run it with Saquon, the more the defense is going to be wary of that, and the more you're going to get those passing opportunities with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Dallas Goedert. So I think again, I get it. The Rams, for the most part, kept Saquon in check. He didn't want to have one of his big games, but because of the threat of the running game, that's what I think allowed the Eagles to really find their passing game.
I half agree with you, and here's why. Because I do agree with you that in the first half, the Eagles were trying to use the run to set up the pass, the way they did the majority of the end of last season. But as we've seen coming into this year, it started with the Cowboys in week 1. It's gone all the way to the Rams in week 3. the teams are not caring as much about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith mostly. They are in zone coverage. They are putting an umbrella for the most part on the defense. And they are putting 7, 8, 9 people in the box. And they are daring my team to run the football because they're trying to stop Saquon Barkley at all costs.
Hence why I explained that Saquon's the most important piece. Go ahead.
On the contrary, in the second half, what was the change the offense made? It was to not only pass the ball more, but it was to go no huddle, get more up tempo. And once they used the pass consistently, then guess what started opening up, Josh, was the running game. Saquon Barkley did start getting more holes in the second half because the defense did start to honor Jalen Hurts' threat in the passing game. And Greg Olsen on the telecast for Fox specifically said the notion that the Eagles always use the run game to set up the pass is wrong. They can use the pass to set up the run, which is what they did in the second half. So I agree it can go both ways. I'm a bigger believer personally, as my offensive mind, you know my philosophy in this. I think you pass to score, and I think you run to win. I think pass early and run late, wear down that defense with the run game, and the Eagles had to pass more because they were behind. But I also don't think enough credit is being given to Vic Fangio and that Eagles defense for making the adjustments that they did. Because in the first half, the Rams were running wide zone with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum just getting gashes, 8, 9, 10 yards a pop. Once they stuffed that up and turned Matthew Stafford into more of a drop-back passer, that's what turned the game around for the defense, who, again, only gave up 7 points on that short field because of the Jalen Hurts fumble.
Right. So to be fair, I was not able to watch this game because they put it at 1:00, stupidly. And so at least for me, they showed Packers Browns here in Cleveland. So I was only able to see this game via highlights. And the NFL posted the wild ending.
Yeah, and unfortunately for you, I don't understand why the NFL is doing this. I brought this up last week, especially for Fox. If you have a game on Fox, they are not showing any score updates at all on the bottom screen, and they're barely showing in-game highlights like when they go and, show a touchdown here and there. CBS at least has the little box in the left-hand corner, but it is driving me nuts and how much I feel like I'm missing because I don't know what's going on in these games because they're not on the screen anymore.
Yeah, I want to be able to watch this Eagles-Buccaneers game on Sunday, but I can't because they're showing Browns-Lions at 1:00 on Fox.
So we do have a comment here that says, what's your take on the unpredictability of the Eagles' offensive play calling? By unpredictability, do you mean run or pass? Because honestly, this is how I feel about my team. They're unbeatable until someone beats them. I think they have the best roster in football. I think they have a multitude of ways to beat you. They can beat you with a run game. They can beat you with a pass game. They can beat you in a defensive-minded contest like we saw in week 2 against Kansas City. The last time the Eagles lost, I'm sure we'll get to this in a minute, Josh, when Jalen Hurts was starting fully in a game and finished, was this time last year, week 4, on my birthday against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I kind of think it keeps. Yeah, it does.
I mean, the Eagles are the only team in the NFL. Maybe Detroit has some of this. Maybe Buffalo is starting to get there. That you can't defend everything on the field. There's just too much talent.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, when you have this type of game, the question is always going to be, was it a Rams collapse or an Eagles comeback?
Oh, this is 100% an Eagles comeback, and it's not even close. The Eagles won that game. The plays they made in all 3 phases. And I got to give credit to the Rams special teams because no one's talking about this. You know what set the Eagles up in the first half was Cardi, the Rams kicker, he's doing what they now call a dirty kick, which is that squib kick where it pops up in the air near the landing zone. My team couldn't field the ball.
Right. But I always I feel like when you ask that type of question of whether it was a collapse or a comeback, you're taking away credit from the team that was able to execute the comeback. I get it. Like, if you go back to week 1, Baltimore, things went sideways for Baltimore, and that allowed Buffalo to come back. But why
made the plays to initiate the comeback?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why is it always, we have to take credit from the other team? And you know what I mean?
No, I agree. Again, I think there are scenarios where it's like you're up 35-7 midway through the third quarter. Like, you got to close that door. It doesn't matter. That's a collapse. But there's also scenarios where it's like the other team just made some bad plays, and if it wasn't for a turnover here or there, they win the game. And the funny thing is, Josh, I don't know if you know about this, the Rams' last 10 games, they're 7-0 versus everybody not named the Eagles, and they're 0-3 versus the Eagles.
You know what? I heard this, and I kind of think it's true. The Rams are becoming to the Eagles what the Bills are to the Chiefs. Or
I was going to say more Baltimore than Buffalo, because at least Buffalo beats them in the regular season, but I can agree with that sentiment.
Okay. I would say, okay. Then I'll say it like this. The Rams are to the Eagles what the Bills are to the Chiefs in the playoffs. But if you're talking all around, then yes, it would be Ravens to the Chiefs.
Well, that's why I said that, because the Rams and Eagles have played one time in the postseason. They played 2 times in the regular season.
Yes. And it was interesting because, like you mentioned earlier, Saquon was able to run wild on the Rams in both games last season.
And they flat out just said no. I'm telling you, if you watch this game, their eyes were on Saquon Barkley the whole game. They said, we don't care if A.J. Brown gets 200 yards. We are stopping Saquon Barkley.
And that's why I think they could have utilized the play action game a little more.
Well, it's hard to when you can't run the ball in the first half, which is why the passing game opened up the run game, because Barkley did get most of his yards in the second half. As a matter of fact, they tried play action. They tried some dump offs, some handoffs. The Rams they had 10 guys on him. He could not escape them until they proved they could throw the football down the field. And you know what I say as a fan? Like, again, people said Jalen Hurts couldn't throw. Jalen Hurts couldn't do this. Every single time you doubt Jalen Hurts, he just said, okay, what's this?
Okay, so I heard this, and I want to get your take on it. The Eagles are almost becoming like this generation's version of the New England Patriots, where if you count them out, they'll be like, watch this.
So I have a stat for you, Josh.
Okay.
The Eagles, in their last 20 games, do you want to guess their record?
19-1?
That is correct.
Yes, I know this stat.
Do you want to know what the record is for most consecutive victories / in a row sort of thing out of the amount of games?
3?
No. The Patriots, a similar run in 2003, 2004 when they won back-to-back Super Bowls. They won 20 out of 21 games.
Okay. Don't take this as me comparing Jalen Hurts to Tom Brady or comparing Bill Belichick to Nick Sirianni, or vice versa. But it does feel like when you watch the Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni relationship, it does feel a little Brady Belichick-esque. At least from my perspective.
Hey, I'm not going there as a fan yet. I'm not trying to jinx myself. But let's talk about who, and I'm going to let you go first on this one because you're not a fan. Obviously, I am. Who is the biggest threat to my Eagles in the NFC?
There's a few teams you could put in the mix here. I would not have said Detroit after week 1, but you absolutely have to put the Lions in the mix now. I mean, dropping 52 against Chicago, and then on Monday Night Football going into Baltimore and beating Lamar Jackson, the way they were playing defense was unbelievable.
Oh, I was shocked. I mean, Lamar was hesitant to run. We're going to talk about it from the Ravens' perspective in a little bit, but that was as impressive a victory. My guy, Jalen Sandvik, I texted you right after the game. That was a great victory. Shout out to you because I was shocked. I thought Baltimore, with their history of playing against NFC teams and Lamar Jackson's history on Monday night, I thought Baltimore was going to roll.
Yeah. So Detroit is definitely in the mix. Tampa Bay is definitely in the mix. We were going to preview this game anyway, but your boogeyman over the last couple seasons has been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It's the Bucs to the Seahawks. We can't win in Tampa or Seattle.
Yes, but you are catching a little bit of a break with this game because the Buccaneers will not have Mike Evans.
They're not, but who's not to say Emeka Buka is not going to go on for 150 yards?
Yes. So I would say Detroit, Tampa Bay. I would, even though you came back and beat them, I still have to include the Rams. And despite Jordan Love making one of the dumbest decisions I have ever seen, I don't know why he threw that ball. Grant Delphin is literally right there. What are you doing, Jordan Love? Why? What? As a Browns fan, I was very happy about it. Don't get me wrong. We'll get to Packers Browns here in a minute. But why, Jordan Love? Why? But I still have to put the Packers in there. I still have to.
So answer the question on the screen, though. Out of those four you named, who's the biggest?
It's either Tampa Bay or Detroit. I'm going to go with, because they have a history of beating you, granted, it's in their home stadium, I'm going to say it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now.
I actually disagree with you. I think the two biggest threats are the other two teams you mentioned, the Packers and the Rams.
Not the Lions?
No, because I think the Lions' regression is still coming. I don't trust the Lions full season. I watched what Green Bay did to them week 1, and to me, that will be a concern. I think the Ravens, we know how they get off the slow starts in the season. We know how they have these weird little clunkers. I told you going into the year, Josh, I was a little bit weary about the Ravens and their ability to repeat as AFC North champions. I think the Lions are good. I think the Lions are now going to get the, oh my God, you're so good treatment, and they'll beat the Browns, no problem. But they have a very tough schedule coming up, and I still don't know if they win the division.
It's interesting. You know, the Ravens were favored by 12.5 against us, and yet in week 3, the Packers were only 7.5 point favorites.
Well, the difference is home and road. I mean, that's the difference there.
Okay, but let me finish.
Okay.
The Lions are at home for this game against us, and they're like 8.5 point favorites.
Which makes sense. I think it says more about the Browns defense than anything else. I think Vegas has respect for the Browns defense.
Yes, but with how much the Lions offense has been firing on all cylinders, I would have thought they'd be like at least 10 point favorites. But getting back to the question at hand.
So I'm picking those two teams because, one, I think the Rams match up very well with the Eagles. They've shown the ability to play the Eagles very tough. They just have not came through. And I think my NFC Championship prediction still stands that the Green Bay Packers will be making a trip to Lincoln Financial Field. So that's the way I look at it, where the Lions and Bucs may end up playing each other, or they may not play Philly. I think it's very likely to get to the Super Bowl. Philadelphia has to go for one or both of the Packers and Rams. They may not have to go for Tampa or Detroit.
God. Honestly, your two biggest games are both on the road, actually. This week at Tampa, and then week 10 at Green Bay.
Well, I could have made an argument. It was this stretch here, right? Week 2 at Kansas City, home against the Rams, at Tampa. You want to go ahead and include Denver in there as well at home week 5. I think that 4-game stretch was huge. I said if we get out of that 3-1, I'd be happy. Listen, there's a legitimate possibility this team could start 5-0 and they face 4 playoff teams from a year ago and their arch rival in Dallas.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Brandon. It's amazing when you look at how much the Eagles have become like the Thanos of the NFL.
We have taken the mantle from the Chiefs.
Yeah, they have. It's honestly crazy that we go from the Brady Belichick dynasty to the Mahomes Reed dynasty, and now we could be. I don't want to say it's going.
I'm trying to block my ears, Josh. I don't want to hear it yet.
We could be on the verge of a Hurts Sirianni dynasty. Although you said the same thing about the Denver Nuggets.
Well, I said the same thing about the Indianapolis Colts 4 years ago when they had Frank Reich and Carson Wentz. We weren't on the air yet. That's not the here or there. That's my worst take of all time, and I will own it. All right. Speaking of a team that shocked the NFL world. So this game was 10-0 in the fourth quarter, and Green Bay had complete control of this game. And all of a sudden, within 37 seconds of game time, you look up and wait a minute, it's 10-10.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with this game, dude. I truly don't. This game was like it was bizarre from start to finish. I didn't think it was going to be that much of a defensive slugfest. You know, I think it was
3-0 at halftime, and neither offense could move the ball past midfield.
No, it was like there was a force field or something at the 50-yard line, and neither team could break through. It was the weirdest thing. And I've said this on the air multiple times, both on here and over on the Sports Room Talk Show. Myles Garrett is most effective when he has a Robin across from him, whether it was Zadarius Smith for a couple years or Jadeveon Clowney. And yet, even though he's basically by himself, this defensive line is making like absolute hell on opposing quarterbacks.
They are. Did you see the one clip where, like, I think it was 3 or 4 Packers offensive linemen were all turned towards Myles Garrett, and there was like a gap in the middle of the field?
Yes. It's crazy how this is working. They have quite the challenge going against the Detroit Lions, though, this week. I actually said this. If I were Kevin Stefanski, I would have had the team in the building watching Monday Night Football last night to get ready for the Lions. But I know I had the Packers beating the Ravens in the Super Bowl. I think you had the Packers in the Super Bowl.
I had the Bills beating the Packers.
Okay, so we both had them, I should say, in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And
which they could still get there. Don't forget, my Eagles started 2-2 last year and then went off that run. But we do need to see more from Jordan Love. Like, I don't know if you've seen that stat that's flown out there, but Jordan Love, without a turnover, has like, when he's winning, he has like 48 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And then when he's losing, it's like 20 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. It really is based off, does he turn the football over or not?
I agree. But you and I have also talked about this a lot, Brandon. The fact that the quarterback is the most important position in
God. If I was a Browns fan, that would have made me even more furious as to why Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback of the
Yes. Trust me, this is not because I'm a Joe Flacco hater. That's not why I'm going to say this. But I watching the offense against the Bengals and in this game against the Packers, I was like, we have opportunities to actually, play well offensively. But Joe Flacco is 40 years old, and he just stands there like a statue.
He is a literal statue in the pocket. He does not throw the football down the field.
No.
Defense is stacking the box. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Quinshon Judkins, despite his off the field issues as a prospect. I'm a way bigger fan of Dylan Sampson. I want them to use him more. And I think Harold Fannon's been a very good tight end out of Bowling Green to come in Njoku. I am absolutely pissed off, because I have him in fantasy, by the way, of what they're doing with Jerry Jeudy. They can't get him the ball.
No, but I think if we had Dylan Gabriel or your guy, Shador Sanders, in there, he would be getting the ball.
I mean, at least the guy could move. At least he could step up in the pocket. At least you could run some RPOs, do something. This offense, the only reason why they scored a touchdown is because of the interception return that got them back to the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
And even then, it got to 3rd and goal, and there was a pass interference on Jeudy that set him up at the 1-yard line for Judkins to get the score. So, the Browns won. All credit to them. 13-10, great game. The offense was terrible. And I thought the Eagles' offense was terrible in the first half. At least we scored a touchdown legitimately.
I agree with you 100%. And for the most part, Micah Parsons really didn't do anything.
No, though he did have some impact, even though he didn't get the sack. There were some times, especially when you wind up at linebacker, where the offensive line got confused and Rashawn Gary was able to get in a couple of times. So he had impact. Again, it was a weird game. This Browns team, to me, Josh, tell me if you feel this way. Are they the 2023 Browns, just with worse quarterback play, where they're going to have a really good defense at home? They're going to probably have a bad defense on the road and just hope the quarterback gets you enough points, I guess, to barely win a football game?
I would feel better going into this game against the Lions if we had Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders at quarterback. I really would.
Shador has no chance to start. I don't even think we need to waste time on Shador. He's not even running scout team. So,
yeah.
which again, I don't understand. I don't get it. The Browns, I said it when they had the draft. This team has no receivers. They're 31st in spending at the wide receiver position, and probably 12 of the 13 million they spent on receivers have gone to Jerry Jeudy. And yet they didn't upgrade the receiving room at all. They drafted 2 running backs and 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. But in terms of the Packers, here's my thing. You and I were both saying Jordan Love could be in the MVP conversation.
Yes.
You have him.
I did have him as the MVP of the regular season. I think that's probably now gone out the window. But here's the thing. My biggest shock for Green Bay's offense this year is not even that Josh Jacobs, like Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, are having okay years, not as great as last year. I thought they were going to unlock a new part of their offense with Matthew Golden, the first-round receiver out of Texas. And it's going to take some time, but he's just not making the impact that, say, Emeka Egbuka is doing in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I would say he's the favorite to win Rookie of the Year right now,
now, yeah. I think, Amari and Hampton now will probably get a shot because Najee Harris is out for the year for the Chargers. But, yeah, I would agree with you. Because it's certainly not Cam Ward, I'll tell you that.
No. But, with the Packers, a lot of what they want to do this season depends on Jordan Love. I told you this during our prediction show. The Packers drafted a wide receiver in the first round for the first time in 20 years. A week before this season, they trade for Micah Parsons. They're basically saying, okay, Jordan Love, we've got a Super Bowl-made team around you. Take us there.
They also paid Jordan Love, which if you remember, I was not the biggest fan of giving him all that money, but we will see.
Yes. Right now, I hate to say this, but he looks like the weak link on the team. He does.
Well, Josh, you know what scares me about that conversation? It's
What's
just,
that?
this is the same conversation people were having about my team a year ago. Oh,
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts the weak link. Oh my God! But here's the thing: is Jordan Love as clutch as Jalen Hurts? His one playoff win came against the Cowboys, who, by the way, how about them Cowboys? How about that Jerry Jones? How about that CD Lamb going down? How about that abysmal defensive performance by former Bears head coach Matt Eberflus getting absolutely destroyed by his former team?
Yeah. That flea flicker was beautiful.
Beautiful design, beautiful throw. And again, maybe it's just because Caleb Williams knows Matt Eberflus' scheme. That was easily the best game Caleb Williams worked as a pro.
Yeah.
Easily.
By far and away. It certainly was.
And that started, the thing that I think as a Bears fan will be encouraging from this game is not the fact that Caleb played well. That Bears offense looked like a Ben Johnson offense. Reverses, run game, play action, harmony. And, we said it. Dennis Allen, shockingly, I don't think got enough flack for what he had given up the first 2 weeks to the Minnesota Vikings and then the Detroit Lions with over 50 points. Excuse me. Boy, did that Bears defense bounce back in a big way and shut down that Cowboy offense.
Yeah. And now they've got the Raiders this week,
and that's an interesting game because Geno Smith, your guy, has been very turnover prone, Abby, and Vegas is very desperate for a win right now.
Yeah. And they just got beat by Marcus Mariota.
And they're going to be at home, and I think they're going to give it their best. But their offensive line can't block. And the crazy thing is, Josh, what we talked about with Chicago after week 2, after they lost that to Detroit, was, oh my God, is Caleb Williams the guy? They're 0-2 again. 2 division losses. The sky is falling. They win this game against Vegas. Now their bye is in week 5, but they're 2-2 going into the bye. And if you're 2-2 going into that bye, you can sit down and you can say, here are things we've done well. Here are things we don't do well. Let's lean into the things we do well. And I think this could be a turning point in the Bears season.
Well, here's the thing is I remember when we were doing our top 5 games last week, you had this game number 2.
Yes.
And your primary reason was if the Bears lose this game, that could be the end of the Caleb Williams era.
Yes.
Chicago. I remember you specifically saying that, Brandon.
Yes. And you know what? It's funny how one game does change the narrative because I think I'm right. I think this game saved the Bears season. And I think if they beat Vegas next week, that will again save their season. Because I think if you go 1-3 going into the bye, you can get better, but you're probably not a playoff team. 2-2, you look up in that division. Green Bay will probably beat Dallas. Detroit will most definitely beat Cleveland. We'll see about Minnesota and Pittsburgh. I'd probably give the edge to the Vikings there. How good did they look, by the way? But that's why it's important, I think, for the Bears to win this game.
I agree. But here's the thing, though. I hate to do this because this has been the conversation ever since that game, but was it because the Bears actually figured it out offensively, or was it because Dallas just looked inept on defense?
The Cowboys don't have any horses anymore on defense, and they're getting exposed. They cannot rush the passer. And yeah, they had a nice win in overtime against the Giants, and they played well opening night against Philly. But I think this is who Dallas is going to be this year. We both predicted, I think you had them at 4 wins? I had them at 5. Like, this is where I think that they're going to be. Especially, I know George Pickens is there, but that CD Lamb loss is so gigantic because while George Pickens is used to being a number 1 receiver in Pittsburgh, I don't know if he's still that alpha male, and is he going to be causing drama in Dallas the way he did at the end of his time in Pittsburgh now that he's the number 1 receiver?
But I loved what Rex Ryan said on Get Up. Instead of the doomsday defense, That was the Domesday defense.
All right.
The one
go ahead.
throw where I forget who the receiver was, but he was literally just standing in the back of the end zone, wide open.
Yeah.
You probably could have made that throw. I could have made that throw. My grandma could have made that throw. Jesus.
All right. Let's get to other takeaways for week 3 of the 2025 NFL season. So here's the thing, Josh. I think the thing we both got wrong, raise my hand. You said this team was going to be the worst team in the AFC.
I did.
And I think they're going to win the AFC South now. I think they're for real. And I said, listen, they got better pieces than I think many people realize. The question was, could Daniel Jones deliver? I didn't know if he could. The Colts have punted one time in 3 games. I don't care that they have played the Dolphins and they have played Denver and they have played Tennessee. They have a good test this week against the Rams, yes. But this team is for real, and they are getting back to what they were in the early Frank Reich, Andrew Luck days of the franchise.
And how about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah,
Also,
I mean, I think those 2 teams are the 2 best teams in the AFC South. The ironic thing is Houston and Tennessee play each other this weekend. Obviously, the loser's completely out of it. But Houston, I don't want to put it all on CJ Stroud, but I am very concerned for that franchise going forward.
Yeah, CJ Stroud has completely regressed. Because if you remember, after he won that game against Cincinnati in his rookie season, I came on here and I was saying he should be in the MVP conversation.
You did, and you were telling me into that rookie year, you said you need to pay CJ Stroud now. And I was like, I need to see it a little more. Now, again, Josh, I don't think this is a CJ Stroud problem. I actually think this is a D'Amico Ryans problem. Now, I'm not saying fire D'Amico Ryans. Let me make that clear. What I'm trying to do here is I want to make a comparison between 3 NFL teams. Between the Houston Texans, the Buffalo Bills from a few years ago, and the recent sort of late Ben Roethlisberger, early Kenny Pickett Pittsburgh Steelers. To me, all 3 of those teams haven't gone with this. Ben in his prime, CJ Stroud, young rookie quarterback, Josh Allen, we was just coming of age sort of in Buffalo. All 3 of those teams had very smart defensive coaches, but all 3 of them have struggled with the offensive line. And I don't know what it is about defensive head coaches, but defensive head coaches seem to need the right coordinator. Josh Allen struggled in 2023 because he had Ken Dorsey. He has turned into this all-world MVP candidate because of Joe Brady. CJ Stroud had a very good year under Bobby Slowick year 1. He's not been the same since. If D'Amico Ryans does not find the right offensive coordinator, he is going to be fired probably midway through next year. That's what they need to do. They need to find the right coordinator. And I don't know what the defensive head coach has the sensibility as an offensive head coach does. I've talked about in the past.
At least Buffalo has been able to build up their offensive line now. At least
yes, but it took them how many years? 5, 6 years. Hell, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Denver coming into the year as you were, but Sean Payton rebuilt that offensive line when Russell Wilson was there in an offseason. Andy Reid, every time the Chiefs have a bad offensive line, what does he do the next year? Rebuilds the offensive line. Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni have probably the 2 best offensive lines in football. They're both offensive coaches. So Green Bay, they've always had an offensive coach and a very good offensive line. I don't know what it is about defensive coaches and their inability to coach an offensive line.
Yeah, and I would say even though we've given up some sacks, for the most part, the Browns have a decent offensive line. It's not great.
Except now it's going through injuries again for the 2nd straight year.
Yeah, Jawan Jones is injured, out for the season.
Godwin's hurt again, so.
Yep. So we'll see. That's even more of a reason why I would like Dylan Gabriel starting. But I'm more impressed by the Jacksonville Jaguars than I am with the Indianapolis Colts. Especially because they should be 3-0 right now. They really should.
You can make that case. Obviously, they choked away the game against the Bengals.
Yes, they definitely choked that game away. How do you lose after Joe Burrow goes out and Jake Browning comes in?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that Trevor Lawrence can play. Maybe Trevor Lawrence has found the guy that, saved. It's like, Sean McVay coming in and saving Jared Goff, or, Caleb Williams getting saved by Ben Johnson. Maybe William Cohen is the guy who saves Trevor Lawrence.
You very well could be right. But we got some breaking news earlier today that the New York Giants are done with Russell Wilson. And Jackson Dart will be starting this week when they take on Justin Herbert and the 3-0 LA Chargers. So this is a tough test for the Giants, specifically Jackson Dart. I know the Chargers don't have Khalil Mack, but that Chargers defense is not easy to figure out.
I believe they're number one in scoring defense in the NFL, or at least they're in the top 3. I know they were number 1 a year ago, and Jesse Minter has done a great job. My reaction,
James is playing like a heat-seeking missile. He's like, ball is there. I'm going to go get that sucker.
And the other thing with this is, so if Jackson Dart is already starting, why did they bring Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston in? Why didn't you just trade one of them and let the kid start week 1? What's the difference in him learning between week 1 and week 4?
I don't know. I don't know. But
if it's week 1 and week 10 after a bye, sure, okay. But this makes no sense to me, besides the fact that, and I know you were listening to the Sunday night game on mute because you cannot stand Chris Collins when we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, but they did talk about Jackson Dart, and what Chris said was, in the Giants building, they have compared Jackson Dart to Patrick Mahomes, and I've said, oh my God, this kid makes some incredible throws. You are not going to believe when you see him on the field. And could this be like a Baker Mayfield situation where, he comes in, the coach gets fired, and then it's like a wash year 1? I don't know.
So here's the Giants' upcoming schedule. They've got the Chargers this week. Then they're at the Saints. Then Thursday night football against Philly.
Yes.
Denver.
And then at Denver, and then at Philly again.
Yeah. And then San Francisco. And then at Chicago.
And at Chicago, where, again, if the Bears are in playoff contention, they're going to need to win that game.
And then Green Bay. At Detroit. New England on Monday Night Football. And then their bye week isn't until week 14. So
they could have waited one more week and started them against at least an easy opponent in the Saints. It smells like to me like Dable and Shane are trying to save their job.
I agree with you 100%. And then the other big story I would say is, I guess we'll get to it now. The Chiefs and the Ravens are playing this week, and the loser's going to be 1-3.
So this is interesting because we talked about it earlier in the show tonight, how Baltimore can't beat Kansas City. The last time they beat them was that home game, week 2, Sunday Night Football, when Lamar Jackson begged John Harbaugh, I should say, to go for it on that 4th down.
Yeah.
Ever since they're 0-3
into the end zone.
Yeah, and they're what now? 0-3 since Kansas City since. And the Chiefs, I think the biggest thing for the Chiefs is going to be, are they going to have Xavier Worthy? Because the inability for them right now to stretch the field is really handicapping their offense.
Yeah. Like, that game on Sunday night doesn't make me feel any better about them because they were playing the Giants.
I mean, yeah, they were playing the Giants. They did what they needed to do. I think there is something to be said about the confidence of the Chiefs when you go up and face a Baltimore team. But I could make the argument for the Chiefs that it's like the worst case scenario for them is what happened to Baltimore last night. Because now Baltimore's going to come in focused. They're going to come in angry. And I think they want nothing more but to beat down the Chiefs and send them to 1-3.
Do you think it's a bit of an advantage for the Chiefs that they got to play on Sunday Night Football while the Ravens had to play on Monday Night Football? So that gives the Ravens a little less time.
I'll answer it differently because I do think the Chiefs have an advantage, but I don't think it's that advantage. I think the advantage is the Chiefs got to play the Giants on Sunday night, and the Ravens had to play a physical Lions team that ran the ball down their throat and beat them up physically. And then, to your point, it's another short turnaround, and you have to travel to go to Kansas City.
Yes. So, do I think the Chiefs can be that physical, run the ball down your throat type of team like the Lions were? No. That's never really been the style for the Chiefs. Although over the last couple of years, yes, they've been more of a...
2 years ago, they had it with Pacheco, and now all of a sudden, since that injury, he's not the same back, and they basically have a run game of number 15.
Yes. And that's the other major difference is Detroit has Sonic and Knuckles. Kansas City doesn't. So,
but what Kansas City does have, I think, is the ability to slow down Derrick Henry and force Lamar to beat you with his arm.
Yeah, I do think Kansas City can play that same style of defense Detroit was playing last night.
Like, this to me is, I feel it's either going to be a Baltimore complete rout, or it's going to be very similar to the Eagles game, where it's low scoring, 20-17. Whichever defense forces a turnover is going to win the game.
I would agree. I would tend to agree with you, but we've seen it with these two teams. They are usually a bit higher scoring.
But neither of these offenses outside of Baltimore week 1 against Buffalo have been explosive. Yes, the Ravens put up 41 against the Browns, but that was a fumble return for a touchdown, an interception return, a punt block return. So there's a lot of short field setup.
Yes. And for the most part, the Browns were able to keep Derrick Henry in check. They just forgot about Lamar Jackson,
So I don't think either of these two teams' season's over at 1-3. I think it would be very stupid of the media to do so. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't put it past these two teams to rematch again. They're just too good at teams. They're too good at quarterbacks. They just got the brunt of their schedule. Basically, they got the brutal part of their schedule very early.
Yeah. I know Kansas City has Detroit coming up. I know they also had to play Washington.
Yeah, I know the Washington game's on Monday night. The Detroit game is a Sunday night. And then they go to Jacksonville week 5 on a Monday night, which don't put it past Jacksonville at this point.
Which I told you the Jaguars could win that game, and you thought I was nuts.
Well, I didn't expect Jacksonville to have this good of a pass rush the way they're doing.
Yes, but the reason I was saying Jacksonville could win that game is because the Chiefs have to play the Ravens this week, and it's usually a game that comes right down to the wire. It's usually highly emotional and all that.
I'll say this: if Kansas City loses to Baltimore, there's no way they're losing to Jacksonville.
I should have been smarter and not said they were going to lose to the Giants. I don't know why I said that anyway.
But so we get to the other top games. So as we were talking before the show, I think the top 2 games are pretty obvious. Ravens, Chiefs, Eagles, Bucks. You can put them in whatever order you want. I'm going to go from 1 through 5 today because we've already talked about most of these games. Number 1 is certainly Ravens, Chiefs. Number 2 is Eagles, Bucks. Again, I think Ravens, Chiefs means more because both these teams are 1-2. Bucks are 3-0. Eagles are 3-0. A loss isn't going to really hurt much for either of those two teams. At number 3, I think it is the return of Micah Parsons. Even though I think it may be a rout in favor of Green Bay, especially now that CeeDee Lamb is not going to be there for the Cowboys. I think the storyline is big enough where this is going to be the game we hear about and talk about all week, Packers-Cowboys. And then I think you got a lot of really interesting matchups this week to go through. At number 4, Josh, I'm going out to the desert because you may be right about the Seattle Seahawks. But did they play Sunday? I know they played the Saints. I mean, that game was over in like 30 seconds, I think.
Yeah, the New Orleans Saints are terrible.
Yeah.
They might go winless this season, honestly.
They very well could. I want to see how good both these two teams are. Arizona's coming off a hard loss at the buzzer to San Francisco. They have not played particularly well when they did defeat the Panthers, who, how the hell did they beat the Falcons 30-0? I don't know.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Do you remember what I said last week about the Panthers with Bryce Young?
They always beat the Falcons.
I said the exact same thing about Bryce Young that you were saying about Caleb Williams if the Bears did not beat the Cowboys.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
And they ended up doing so. And then my last game on this list are the Colts for real. We're going to find out again as they go to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. I want to see Daniel Jones against that Rams defense.
Okay. So I agree with you on number 5 being Colts-Rams. You got the Rams, who I think are going to be playing very angry after losing that game against Philadelphia. And this is the Colts. No. Yeah, this is the Colts' second straight road game. I had to think about that for a second. And they're playing against a much better defense. Jared Verse is coming after Daniel Jones, so we'll see how he handles that. Even though Nick Bosa is done for the year, and they are starting Mac Jones at quarterback, you want to talk about it. The Jaguars are playing on the road at San Francisco. You got Kansas City at home on Monday Night Football next week. This is a very tricky game. I like this Jaguars 49ers game a lot.
Yeah, for some reason, when you tell me Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback, it just dies down all interest for me.
Okay.
Even though they're winning, I don't know how good San Francisco is.
Okay. No, I respect that. Number 3, because we beat the Packers last week, yes, I am putting it on the list. Especially because Detroit is an 8.5-point favorite. Like, that's the bizarre part to me, is with Detroit firing on all cylinders offensively, they should be 10, maybe even 12-point favorites, but they're not. So, for me, can the Browns continue this little momentum they got? And Detroit, on a short week, after playing a very physical game in Baltimore, coming home to play the lowly Cleveland Browns. Like, that dynamic, just for me, makes it a top 5 game.
The way you're talking makes me want to go on this little machine I have right here and immediately bet the Lions minus 8.5.
But, like, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Detroit is fantastic offensively. But it's also that matchup of Aiden Hutchinson against Myles Garrett and how do the Browns handle the Lions defense. I could see a scenario where if Joe Flacco does not play well in this game, he gets the leash at the end at halftime, and we see Dylan Gabriel out there in the second half.
I don't see it until they lose week 6 at Pittsburgh. I think his first start's going to be against Miami week 7.
Most likely, you're right, but I could see a scenario where if the offense is stagnant, like it was for most of the game against Green Bay, I could see a scenario where Dylan Gabriel comes in. For most of that game, actually, against Green Bay, I know this isn't going to sound grammatically correct, so forgive me. But I was saying the offense forgot how to offense.
I was saying the same thing in Philly in the first half, my friend.
Okay. And then number 2, you have this game at number 1, but it's because it's Lamar against Mahomes, but they're both 1 and 2, so that takes a little bit of the excitement out of it. But it's Ravens Chiefs. We already discussed this game at length. The loser of this game goes to 1 and 3. I think this game is actually more important for Kansas City because you've got the Chargers, who already have 3 divisional games in the bag.
And are 3-0.
Exactly. You've got Denver, who should be better. You and I were gonna talk about this as a topic. But I still think the Broncos can fix this. But they've got a couple issues, yes. But still, I like Bo Nix and Sean Payton, so I'm not going to dismiss them. And then the Raiders, we both said 10 wins. Probably not going to happen.
Probably not. It looks like that was a miss.
Yes, but still, Kansas City, for me, this is more important that they win. So, and then number 1, it sucks that Mike Evans is out for this game because I wanted to see both teams fully healthy.
It may suck for you. It doesn't suck for me.
A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Jalen Hurts against Baker Mayfield. Saquon Barkley. I just said
Saquon Barkley, yeah.
I meant Saquon Barkley against Bucky Irving in Tampa. Battle of 3-0 teams. This is a fantastic matchup. So I have to ask again, NFL schedule makers, why is this game at 1 o'clock? Why? This should be the game Tom Brady is calling.
Well, it is the game Tom Brady is calling.
Yeah, you're right.
So I have a stat for you, though. I have another stat for you. Do you know, in a game where Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith all play and finish, the Eagles have yet to lose a football game.
Okay.
The last time they lost, I said this as we kicked off the show, when Jalen Hurts started and finished the game, September 29th, 2024, without A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith in Tampa against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. And I love that neither of us put the 2 Monday night games because
oh, God. You know what? It depends on how the Packers-Cowboys game rolls. If I don't get to it, I honestly may be watching the Big Brother season finale on Monday night as opposed to these 2 Monday night games. Yeah. My Lord. Jets-Dolphins, are you kidding me?
Like, when I saw Bengals-Broncos on Monday night before the start of the season, I, circled that game. I was like, that's going to be a big-time matchup. And now I'm like, not so much.
Yeah, Denver. Thing is, though, Cincinnati got so embarrassed. I'm telling you right now, they will play well. I think Denver wins, but I don't think it's going to be as handily as that Minnesota game was because team embarrassed like Carolina did in week 2, they always bounce back.
Yeah. And what do you think of the other game I wanted to mention to you? Because of you just mentioned Carolina. What do you think of the Panthers-Patriots game?
Yeah, that does nothing for me. New England has to win. If they don't win, their season's probably over. Drake May is turning the football over at an alarming rate. Ramondre Stevenson fumbled twice at the goal line. But they're not using Travion Henderson, which is really the biggest surprise for me. But I suspect Vrabel will dial it up and make it a long day for Bryce Young again.
Yeah. I picked Travion Henderson to win Rookie of the Year.
And they're just not using him, and I don't get it.
Yeah, that's why I thought he would win it, because the Patriots would establish a run game and use him primarily.
So here's the thing, Josh. We took some big swings in the AFC. Our two biggest swings, the Patriots and Raiders right now, both stink.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. But speaking of football, we're going to move from the NFL to college because it is indeed a massive week 5 in college football because there is a whiteout taking place in Napa Valley between Josh's
Napa Valley.
Happy Valley. I apologize.
Yes, Napa Valley's over in California, dude.
Failed geography as a kid. That doesn't work today. I really like geography. It's okay. It is Oregon against Penn State in a rematch of last year's Big Ten championship. And it is the rivalry who, for the last half decade, has really, in my opinion, defined college football. Not so much anymore because Alabama is not at that level. But Alabama, Georgia, with Georgia being the home team.
Yes. And you got another big matchup in there. You got number 4 LSU going on the road to the Grove to take on number 13 Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So talk about huge matchups. Do you know that Penn State is 4 at, let me make sure I have the stat right. Yeah, Penn State is 4 and Penn State is 1-15 or worse, 1-16, depending on the source, against top 10 teams in recent years, including a 1-14 record under James Franklin until late 2023.
That's against top 10 teams?
Yes.
Well, that's what I said. I think James Franklin breaks the curse this year. I think Drew Adler proves this weekend why he is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Because Cade Klubnik is not it. Arch Manning is not it. Josh, the door is wide open for your team this year to win the national championship. Pretty much have to get through Ohio State and maybe Georgia the way I see it right now.
That's what scares me, though. And I found the correct stat according to Bleacher Report. Penn State is now 4-20 against top 10 opponents under head coach James Franklin after Penn State lost to Notre Dame in the CFP semifinal last season.
I mean, Penn State's at home. I think they have the better roster. I think they have the better offensive and defensive lines. I think this will be very close, but I think your nifty Lions pull this out.
I can't. Unfortunately, yes, it's the whiteout. And yes, we're at home, but I haven't seen James Franklin win one of these big games since 2016 when he
he also hasn't had a quarterback. I mean, he's had Sean Clifford and who was the other kid? McSorley?
I love
McSorley. Oh, Josh, but he wasn't an NFL quarterback. That's what I'm saying.
He was the one who beat Ohio State in 2016.
Yeah, he was. And then he went to the Baltimore Ravens and did absolutely nothing. So this is probably the best quarterback James Franklin has had, I think, in Drew Adler.
Yeah. And my question is, who's going to replace Tyler Warren? Because Tyler Warren was Drew Adler's safety blanket.
Yeah. God, he was a stud. God, is he a stud with the Colts.
Yes. And then looking at Alabama, Georgia, these two teams have played each other twice in the national championship. They put on an absolute classic last year in Tuscaloosa.
That was the game where I mentioned it last week. Alabama was up. Were they up like 35-7 at one point or something, 35-14? Georgia comes back, and then Ryan Williams makes the incredible catch down the sideline on the ball from Milroe.
Yeah. And after getting blown out by Florida State, Alabama's been playing better, but they haven't really played anybody.
And they're not at the level that I thought. Remember, I thought this is going to be the big bounce back year for Alabama. I had them in the national championship game against Penn State. I thought Kalen DeVore in year 2 was going to be able to do better. And as I already talked about, I'm not the biggest fan of Arch Manning in Texas. I like what Nussmeier has done with Brian Kelly at LSU. To me, right now, it's a Georgia-LSU conference. But that could change if Alabama makes a statement. This will be the game, to me, that determines if Alabama has a chance to make the CFP or not.
Well, I wouldn't just dismiss Oklahoma.
Yeah, but I mean, they're Oklahoma. How tough are they really going to be when they got to go up against the big boys?
I think Oklahoma could be better than you think.
I haven't seen their quarterback play. I'll be fully transparent. So I got to watch them play.
Okay, you haven't watched John Mateer. Got it.
No, I have not seen John Mateer yet. So, again, this is the time of the year. You know this. You're a much bigger college football fan than me. About middle October, especially late October going into November, this is the time of the year I really do start watching college football. I don't waste my time on the small schools. I watch big schools, I watch big brands, and I watch quarterbacks because that's what drives the sport. If you have a good quarterback, you're going to win games. That's why I love Penn State so much this year because I don't even care about the coach. They have a quarterback.
I as a Penn State fan, I want to believe that they can win this game, but I've seen James Franklin crumble. He had an opportunity to beat Ohio State last year. Couldn't do it.
Well, and I also think, too, to go back to the Alabama-Georgia thing, Alabama cannot get blown out. Like, I think they have to play this close. If they get blown out, there's going to be calls for Kalen DeVore's job.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, last week again, it was 2 weeks ago against Wisconsin.
They didn't play very well. I mean, I know they beat them up, but the first half was like not really a blowout.
No.
They pulled away in the second half.
Yeah, their quarterback, Ty Simpson, was 24 of 29, 382 yards, and 4 touchdowns, for whatever that's worth.
Like, again, he was okay, but he wasn't great. You know, but they are in cruise control. Again, they match up very well against Georgia. I think they're going to come ready to play.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right. Well, we haven't touched baseball in a while on this show, but Josh, our Cleveland Guardians have won 10 out of our last 11 games and have positioned ourselves to be a game back of the Detroit Tigers. And it is currently in the bottom of the second inning. There is no score in that game. Gavin Williams versus Terrence Skubal with the AL Central kind of on the line tonight, if you ask me.
If the Guardians win, they do clinch the tiebreaker against the Tigers. So it is important that they win, especially tonight. And then Cleveland's this is a tricky stretch to end the season because they got Detroit, then Texas. Texas
has to win out, though. They're 5 games back. They have to win out and get some help to make the playoffs.
Yes, I understand that. But I'm not just going to I'm not just going to summarily.
You're not just going to diminish Texas. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I was going to say dismiss Texas.
How many times did we count this Guardians team out? I said they were dead 3 times. I was like, this team's dead. They're going to go 81-81. They're not a playoff team. We were selling off pieces at the trade deadline. We get rid of Carlos Santana, one of my favorite players of all time, in August. And all of a sudden, you know what turned for me? It wasn't just the bats. They finally got healthy with starting pitching. And Gavin Williams has turned into an ace seemingly overnight. And we've seen this movie before from baseball teams. I don't care what anybody says. If the Guardians do actually make the playoffs, whether it's a wild card or the division, I have expectations for them. Maybe not to win the World Series, but to win at least a series. I think they could make a run. I really do. Starting pitching and bullpen's one of the best in baseball over the last month, and it's the team that gets on. It's not the team with the best record.
You saw that with the Texas Rangers back in 2023.
And the wild thing is, do you know this? In the American League, as we currently sit, only the Toronto Blue Jays have clinched a playoff spot, and they haven't even clinched the division. So seeding isn't even locked up in the American League.
Yeah, and Seattle looks like they're going to clinch the division for the first time since like 2001.
Yeah, and, you know, it feels like to me, one of the Tigers, if they completely collapse, or the Astros are not making the playoffs.
I would say it's more likely to be the Asterisks.
I would agree with you, but I mean, if we sweep Detroit, there's a possibility they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah. I really put the nail in the Guardians' coffin after they got swept by the Atlanta Braves at home.
Yeah.
That's when I said, okay, this is done.
And they immediately then went on the run.
Yeah, they did. That was an important road trip against. Well, they lost 2 out of 3 against Arizona, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
That was here, right? Yeah, they did.
No, that was in Arizona.
Oh, you're right.
Because that was part of that 6-game road trip, Arizona, Texas.
You're right. By the way, did you see the National League standings? How crowded that is, at least in the wild card, where you have the Reds, the Mets, and the Diamondbacks all fighting for that last spot.
Yes.
So
I did see that.
It's pretty crazy. You know, the Mets have collapsed here. They were in a good position. The Reds have made some hay. The Diamondbacks have made some hay. Like the National League to me feels wide open, right? You got the Cubs who were very good, but then they fell off a little bit. The Brewers have one of the best records in baseball. The Phillies are good, but you just can't trust them. Obviously, we know the Dodgers roster, but everybody predicted the Dodgers to win 100 games, and they're not even going to be the number 1 seed in the National League.
No, they're not. By the way, the Tigers just got a ground rule double.
So they are up 1-0. That hurts.
No, it's still 0-0.
Oh, ground rule. I thought you said RBI double. That's my bad. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Tell me if you agree. I feel like more this year than last year. I think any one of these teams that make the playoffs can win the World Series. I don't think there's a favorite out there.
Yeah, there's not really that dominant team that you look at and go, yeah, they're the clear favorites.
No, it's been one of those situations all year. Remember, we looked at the standings in like May or June, and we said, like, everybody's pretty close. The Dodgers were not pulling away. Remember, they got off to that crazy start. They were like 9-0 or something, and everybody thought they were just going to run away with it.
Yeah. And yet the Padres are only like 2.5 back.
Yeah, the Padres can still win that division. And I mean, the Padres and Dodgers could match up again in the NLDS, and we know how much of a classic series that was last year.
Yes.
I know you're not much of a baseball guy, so tell me if you agree on this. When the Guardians are in the playoffs, I find myself religiously watching the MLB playoffs as a whole. When they're not in the playoffs, I find myself not really caring as much.
And now Detroit just went up 1-0.
Okay. Well, let's hope we can keep it at 1. But do you agree with my general sentiment?
Not really. I still try to watch, even if the Guardians aren't in it. As it gets into the later rounds, that's when I usually try to tune in with the World Series and all that. But I always find the MLB playoffs a little bit stale anyway.
How are they stale when they're 30 days? It goes by so fast. It's unlike, I find the NBA playoffs very stale because half the games are blowouts.
Maybe it's because I'm more of an NBA and NHL fan. I get more invested in those playoffs.
It's also because it's hard to pay attention, though, because the NFL season is going at the same time.
I think it's also because, for me, most of the time with baseball, you're just sitting there like, okay, ball, strike.
Well, not anymore. With the pitch clock, these games are moving so fast. We've had multiple games this year that are 2 hours in and out, done.
That part I agree with you, yes. But for the most part, it feels like with Major League Baseball, you're waiting for something.
All right, Josh, I'm going to let you take the lead on our final topic. I know you want to get to it. Let's talk wrestling. All Out versus Wrestlepalooza. Let me hear it, my friend.
All Out was absolutely amazing. That was one of AEW's best pay-per-views they have ever done. Outside of 2 matches, I didn't love the Mercedes Moné versus Riho match for the TBS championship. I think if they had built Riho up more, I would have probably been more invested, but it was just kind of there. And the Big Bill versus Eddie Kingston match, very happy to have Eddie Kingston back. But the finish was just, it looked like he missed the spinning back fist a little bit. It was just, didn't quite make it for me. But my God, the triple threat match for the Unified Championship. Takeshita versus Okada versus Mascara Dorada. That was unbelievable. The ladder match, Young Bucks versus Jet Speed versus Rodito versus the Don Callis family. Just absolute carnage. The coffin match, John Moxley versus Darby Allin. We got the return of Pac. We're getting the return of Orange Cassidy on Wednesday. I loved the Kyle Fletcher versus Hangman match. Whereas I couldn't even watch Wrestlepalooza because even though I have ESPN Plus, guess what? You gotta have the new ESPN Unlimited plan or whatever.
Yeah, so it's not ESPN Plus. It is ESPN Unlimited, even though the website takes you to ESPN Plus.
Yes, but so I did not get to watch Wrestlepalooza, but from everything I heard, it was very mid. Like,
So
that's what I heard. I can't necessarily comment on it. I've watched recap videos, so I know what happened.
but believe me, knowing you would think this show would be very bad. You would give it a D or an F grade. And I know that. And, I'll be honest with you, Josh. I don't know if you've noticed by my tone today. I haven't came in angry. I haven't came in firing at you on all cylinders because I have came to an epiphany. And I have realized that WWE and AEW cannot be more different as two different companies. And it could not have been more clear than it was when talking about Wrestlepalooza versus All Out. Because the strategy between these two shows were so different that the alternative is now the alternative. If you don't like WWE, you are not going to like this show because it was not the strongest show in the world. This show was built for a casual wrestling fan to come in and enjoy, and the surprises they were talking about were more towards the casual fan. Like a casual fan that knows nothing about wrestling would have had no idea that John Cena could get destroyed by Brock Lesnar. And that was the booking because they wanted fans to go, oh my God, Brock Lesnar, I've heard of this guy, but why is he so dangerous? And they did not take any risk with this show, which to a hardcore fan, I guarantee you would have been pissed off watching this show.
I genuinely wanted to watch it. I wanted to give Wrestlepalooza a fair chance. I really did. But, I thought I could watch it since I have ESPN Plus. But no. So,
yeah, I'm not blaming that as much on WWE as I'm blaming it about ESPN because ESPN has done a terrible job altogether at marketing this direct-to-consumer service. Because here's the other thing. Remember when they came out and they said, oh, if you have Direct TV and Sling and all this, you can watch it for free?
Yes.
Guess what? You can't. Because it's only for Direct TV streaming customers, which is different than Direct TV satellite customers. And I didn't know the workaround. By the way, if you would have told me, I would have texted you this. You could sign up for a free 5-day trial of Fobo TV and log in for that. And you would have got the PLE for free.
Okay. Because I want to give these PLEs a fair chance. That
was a PLE, and I think if people are going to spend $30, I'll tell you this, it certainly was not worth $30 for a fan who does not like the WWE product. For me, it was fine. I like the product. I'm going to pay $30 regardless. I don't care. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a B- to a C+ show. I thought it was a very average show. I thought it was a very safe booking because I think they are booking towards the future. I think we're looking at a War Games match. I think we're looking at Cody Rhodes' potential feuds down the line. This show was pretty much, hey, we're on ESPN. Here we are.
From what I heard, they changed two things in terms of the booking. John Cena was originally supposed to beat Brock Lesnar. I don't know this is like a for sure thing. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Oh, I've seen both the rumors you're talking about, and the other one was Cody and Drew pitching to have Randy Orton accidentally cost Cody the title.
Yes.
I'll be honest, the Cena one I don't believe because I think if they're going back to nostalgia, right? Because now I don't know if you saw, but they're basically based off a tweet from social media. John Cena's facing AJ Styles at Crown Jewel in Perth.
Yes,
And
which is a PLE that starts at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I personally don't like that, but they're in Australia. What the hell?
They're building this storyline of like Triple H doesn't listen to the fans and John Cena can't choose his own opponents. I'm telling you guys, they are everybody that says Triple H fumbled the John Cena retirement tour. They're leaning into you because they know you're bitching about it because this has been their plan all along. They're hearing the reaction. They know exactly what they're doing. John Cena's not calling out Triple H. This was all part of the storyline. I think the fact they leaked Brock Lesnar or Cena was supposed to go over, I think they leaked that on purpose to troll the internet because we know this new regime does that.
They probably did.
We know they've leaked before. Remember they leaked out, there's no way CM Punk's returning at Survivor Series. I think Sean Ross Sapp even said he bet his house on it. And guess what happened?
Yeah, he made his return.
I do think if there's one match you need to go back and watch, it's the mixed tag.
Absolutely. I did hear that was a really good match. I'd like to watch it. I actually like. Okay, I have to confess a little bit. Yes, I went on. I didn't watch Raw. I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown. But I did go on YouTube and watch the full segments of that feud. Strictly that feud, nothing else. Just because it was interesting to me.
The one disagreement I have with the internet is everybody is saying 70 Valkyria and Io Sky was a great match, and I thought it was terrible.
Okay.
I thought the match never got into second gear. Valkyria won with a spiral tap. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I have a hard time getting emotionally connected with wrestlers that don't speak very good or broken English. It just doesn't do it for me. And everybody loves Io Sky because she's such a great wrestler. I think Io would thrive in AEW. She's just not my cup of tea. I think all of these guys.
By the way, I absolutely loved that Chris Statlander won the Women's World Championship. And she pinned Toni Storm. Yeah, and you know how she...
that. The only thing I know about what happened at All Out was Edge paid tribute to John Cena, which, God, that is the one match where if God could let something happen, can we please somehow get Edge versus John Cena? Like, my wife does not feel complete.
I understand that. I actually loved that match. The finish was a little weird, though.
And I heard that Beth Copeland, which I heard Renee kept calling her Beth Phoenix, and Tony Khan kept screaming Beth Copeland at the
yes.
Post conference,
yes.
which is hilarious.
Yes, she did come out. She ended up falling to a spike pile driver courtesy of FTR. Well, Adam Copeland was handcuffed to the ring, so he could not help. So it seems like this feud will continue. I like that they had the baby faces win, and now it seems like FTR is going to keep coming for them.
I got a question. Wasn't that match supposed to main event the show? Why did it open?
I think it was because I don't know. It was probably gonna open. It was probably because they thought it was gonna be the Wrestlepalooza and All Out going against each other.
Okay, and then I wonder if because WWE made the change of Lesnar and Cena, did AEW make the change first, or who made the change first?
I don't know.
Because Lesnar and Cena were supposed to main event, then they opened. And by the way, the mixed tag should have closed. Cody and Drew closed. And again, I think that was a casual move. Cody Rhodes is the quarterback. You know, but don't worry. I know you're the biggest fan of Seth Rollins. He is going to defeat the Crown Jewel. He's going to Crown Jewel title. And that's how they're going to set up the men's War Games match this year. Will be the Vision, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, and the fifth guy could be Randy Orton, could be Jey Uso, could be LA Knight. I don't know yet.
I can't see Brock Lesnar being in a War Games match.
Paul Heyman introduced Brock Lesnar. He's going to have some connection to the division. I don't know if you saw that.
I did hear about that, yes.
So, yeah, he is connected to the division. So I think he is going to be in the War Games match. Whether he just comes in and breaks the cage and, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear that AEW might start doing more afternoon pay-per-views?
And WWE said, we're going to find a way to counter-program it. I told you this last week. How? What are they going to do? Have 7 shows in one day?
I don't know. But Tony Khan said they might start doing more afternoon pay-per-views because actually the buy rate is better. It feels like.
Well, especially during football season. Because I do think college football, no matter what they do, whether it's on pay-per-view or not, will dip into their numbers.
Yes, I agree. And I
think all wrestling companies need to get away from Sunday shows. Nobody wants a Sunday show anymore.
I would tend to agree with you on that one.
Everybody wants a Saturday show. WWE wants to do a Saturday. Like, okay, SummerSlam, WrestleMania 2 nights makes sense. If AEW ever did a 2-night, it would make sense to do a Sunday show.
Yes.
Other than that, do it Saturday.
Yes. By the way, there's a possibility that with you guys doing WrestleMania with you guys doing WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, have you heard this? That Revolution could be in the Rogers Center in Toronto.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that. You know what I thought you were going to say? That AEW would do a show in New Orleans at the Superdome where WrestleMania was supposed to be.
No, knowing Tony Khan, I could see that.
They should do it. Why not?
I don't think AEW is quite ready for a stadium show like that.
But the Rogers Center's 30,000 people or whatever it is.
55,000, actually.
I mean, the Superdome's 70. I would think New Orleans would be so pissed off at WWE, they may go with AEW. Because WWE has basically said, we'll go to the same city now 30 times if you pay us.
That's true, yes.
I heard they're starting to put bids together for Raw and SmackDown. I don't know if that's true or not, but I can totally see it because TKO is selling this thing to the Saudis by WrestleMania 43.
Yep. And I wonder what that's going to mean for UFC.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if Dana White would let it go, but he may not have a choice. I mean, I don't know. I'm very nervous. I've heard a lot of people say that it's not that they're anti-WWE anymore. It's that this isn't the WWE they grew up with. That it's not that it's not Triple H the booker. It's they're mad at Triple H because TKO is making them mad. So they're just mad at everything WWE.
Yeah. And is that why they're jacking up prices?
Yeah, because they're maximizing profits because they're going to sell. And TKO's doing the same for UFC, by the way, too.
Yeah, I know. And yet still UFC. I haven't watched a UFC pay-per-view in God knows how long because I'm not paying $80.
Well, now they're going to the White House. Did you hear about this, by the way?
Yes. But that's going to be when UFC moves to CBS.
Yeah, very interesting. There's a lot going on, man. I don't know. We could spend a 5-hour show on everything going on in the sports world, but we've been doing this for an hour and a half. I say we call it for the night. We had a good show. We're going to talk big college football next week. We're going to talk MLB playoffs. We're going to talk week 5 in the NFL, recap week 4.
Yep.
And as I've been saying on Brand's Word over the past week as a tribute to the Never Seen 17, a salute, as you would say, Josh, a salute to you. Never give up.
Thanks for stealing my line.
We'll see you next week on Championship Rings.